The rain was relentless that evening, hammering against the thin glass of my apartment window like impatient fingers demanding to be let in. I had been buried beneath my blanket on the couch, pretending to watch a drama I'd already seen twice, when the knock came. At first, I thought it was the storm playing tricks on me, but then it came again, sharp, deliberate. I wasn't expecting anyone. Not at this hour, and especially not in the middle of a downpour. When I pulled the door open, I nearly forgot how to breathe. There he was, Minjae, soaked to the bone, black hair plastered against his forehead, white shirt clinging to every lean muscle of his chest and arms. My best friend. My classmate. My constant headache. The one person who had always crossed lines with me, teasing, pushing, pulling, until I didn't know if I wanted to strangle him or something else I never dared to admit. Seojin, he said, smiling through the rain as if it didn't bother him in the least. You gonna let me in, or should I catch a cold out here? I blinked, realizing too late that I'd been staring. Why, come in. He stepped inside, dripping water onto the floor, and shrugged out of his jacket. It hit the floor with a wet slap, leaving him in just that clingy shirt. I tried not to stare, but his body was impossible to ignore. His arms flexed as he rubbed his hands together for warmth, veins visible beneath his skin. You look like you just walked through a river, I said, trying for casual. Close, he replied, flashing me that grin that always felt like trouble. Your neighborhood's a swamp in the rain. I rolled my eyes and tossed him a towel. Dry off before you ruin my couch. He caught it easily, but instead of using it right away, he leaned closer to me, droplets sliding down his jaw. Why don't you do it for me? I froze. His voice was teasing, but his eyes, dark, steady, watched me too intently. Don't be ridiculous, I muttered, snatching the towel back and shoving it against his head. He laughed, the sound rich and unbothered, but he didn't move away. As I rubbed at his hair, he tilted his head forward, closing the space between us. His breath brushed against my collarbone, and my chest tightened. The air shifted. It was heavier now, thicker with something unspoken. You're trembling, I said before I could stop myself. Minjae smirked up at me, damp strands falling across his forehead. Maybe you should warm me up. I dropped the towel immediately, stepping back as heat crawled up my neck. Don't say things like that. Why not? He tilted his head, playful but intent. You know I mean it. We ended up on the couch together, side by side. The storm outside was loud, but the silence between us was louder. I tried to focus on the flickering images on the TV screen, but my body was hyper-aware of every inch separating us, or rather, how little space there was. Then it happened. His hand landed on my thigh. Casual. But it burned. I stiffened. Minjae, you're too tense. His voice was low, almost a whisper. His thumb moved in slow, lazy circles that made it impossible for me to think. I'm not. Relax, he cut me off, his tone carrying a weight that sent a shiver through me. He leaned closer, his breath brushing my ear. Trust me. My heart raced. I should have pushed him away. I should have told him to stop. But instead I sat frozen, my body betraying me. His hands slid higher, deliberate, teasing, until my skin buzzed under his touch. Then his lips were on mine. It wasn't gentle, not really. It was hungry, insistent, like he'd been waiting far too long for this. My breath caught as he kissed me, the storm outside swallowed by the storm inside my chest. I tried to resist, to pull back, but his hand at my waist held me firmly, dragging me closer until I was practically on his lap. Minjae, I gasped against his lips. He pulled back just enough to murmur, I told you, I'll take control tonight. Just let go. The way he said it, commanding but soft, a promise hidden in the words, made my resolve crumble. My fingers clutched at his shirt, the wet fabric cool against my palms while his body beneath burned hotter than fire. His lips found mine again, slower this time, coaxing rather than demanding, until I melted against him. I don't know when the world outside disappeared. The rain, the thunder, it all faded. All I could feel was Minjae. His warmth. His strength. The way his mouth claimed me as if he had every right to. He shifted, pressing me back against the couch cushions. His eyes were dark, unreadable, but when he brushed a damp lock of hair from my forehead, his touch was unexpectedly tender. Seojin, he whispered, my name curling from his lips like a secret. You're mine tonight. Something inside me snapped. Fear, restraint, hesitation. I didn't fight anymore. I didn't want to. I closed my eyes, letting the storm rage outside while another storm consumed me inside. For the first time, I let Minjae lead. And as his lips traced down to my jaw, my neck, leaving sparks in their wake, I realized the truth I'd been running from all along. I didn't just want him. I needed him. That night wasn't supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to show up, drenched and smiling, breaking into the safety of my quiet little world. But as his whispers tangled with my racing heartbeat, one word left my lips without thought, without hesitation. Yours. When I woke the next morning, the storm had passed, but my mind hadn't. The rain had left the streets washed clean, the air crisp and new, but inside me, nothing felt the same. Minjae was still here. I lay there, stiff as a board, as his arm draped across my waist like it had every right to be there. His breath was warm against the back of my neck, slow and steady, completely at ease. Meanwhile, my heart was thundering, pounding hard enough I was sure he could hear it. I should have pushed him away last night. I should have told him no. But I didn't. Instead, I'd let him take the lead, let him kiss me senseless, let him unravel me piece by piece until I whispered that word I couldn't take back. Yours. Now, as sunlight slipped through the curtains and painted the room gold, I wondered if he remembered. Why are you so tense again? His voice came low and rough, laced with sleep. I jumped. You're awake. He chuckled softly. His arm tightened, pulling me flush against him until I could feel the solid heat of his body against my back. Hard to sleep when you're practically vibrating. Get off, I muttered, trying to wriggle free, but his grip only tightened. Not a chance, he said smoothly, pressing his face into my hair. You smell too good. I swallowed hard, refusing to let my body react the way it wanted to. Minjae, Emichim, you need to leave. He made a small sound of protest, lips brushing my ear. After last night? You really want me to go? His words lit me up from the inside out. I could feel the heat spreading through me, and I hated how easily he could do this, how a single sentence, spoken low and close, could undo me completely. I finally turned to face him, determined to set boundaries. But the moment I saw his face, the determination faltered. His hair was a mess, sticking up in every direction, and yet he looked unfairly good, lips slightly swollen from last night, eyes still heavy with sleep, a lazy smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Stop looking at me like that, I whispered. Like what? He teased, his hand sliding up my side, fingers brushing just beneath the hem of my shirt. Like you already own me, I snapped, but my voice lacked bite. That's because I do, he said simply. No hesitation. No doubt. Just the kind of certainty that left me breathless. Before I could protest, his lips were on mine again. Gentle at first, coaxing rather than demanding. I melted into it before I could stop myself. The kiss deepened, his tongue brushing mine, and I gasped softly against him. You're so easy to read, he murmured, kissing me again before I could respond. Your body tells me everything. I hated that he was right. Because when his hands slid higher, brushing over my chest, my breath hitched. When his leg tangled with mine, pinning me in place, I didn't push him away. When his lips trailed from my mouth down to my jaw, then lower to the sensitive spot just beneath my ear, my whole body betrayed me with a shiver. Relax, he whispered again, that same word from last night, but softer now, almost tender. Stop saying that, I muttered weakly, clutching his wrist. Why? His voice was husky against my skin. You like it when I take control. My silence was the only answer he needed. We stayed tangled like that for what felt like hours, time slipping away as he explored every reaction I couldn't hide. His touch was slow, deliberate, teasing, never too much, never enough. Every brush of his fingers, every stolen kiss, left me aching for more. You're blushing, he teased, pulling back just enough to look at me. Shut up, I muttered, hiding my face in his chest. He laughed softly, wrapping both arms around me. You're too cute, Seojin. Don't call me that. But you are, he insisted, pressing a kiss to the top of my head. Then his tone shifted, lower, more serious. Last night wasn't just a game for me. I froze. His hand cupped my face, tilting it up so I had no choice but to meet his eyes. I meant every word. You're mine. My heart stuttered. I wanted to argue, to tell him he was being ridiculous, but the intensity in his gaze rooted me to the spot. The word caught in my throat. I didn't know what to say. He smiled faintly, pressing his forehead against mine. Don't answer yet. Just feel. And then his lips captured mine again, slower this time, like he had all the patience in the world. The rest of the morning blurred. Coffee went untouched. The drama on TV played in the background, forgotten. All I could think about was Minjae, the weight of his body against mine, the way his touch lit me up, the way his words lingered in my head. He was everywhere. And no matter how much I told myself I should stop this, that I should push him away, I didn't. I couldn't. Because the truth was terrifyingly simple. I didn't want to. That night, when the rain returned and the thunder rolled once more, Minjae pulled me close again. His lips brushed my ear, and he whispered that same word, the one that had started everything. Relax. And against all reason I did. I'd convinced myself that after the storm passed, things would calm down between us. That Minjae would tease me a little, flash that grin of his, then go back to being the infuriating best friend who stole my snacks and laughed at my serious face. But I was wrong. Because Minjae didn't go back to being just a friend. Not after what we'd shared. Not after the way his lips claimed mine, the way his whispers melted into my skin. And the scariest part? I didn't want him to. It was late evening when it happened again. The storm outside was lighter this time, just a steady drizzle, but somehow it carried the same weight of last night, the same rhythm that made my heart beat faster. We were in my tiny kitchen, plates from dinner piled in the sink. I was washing, trying to focus on the clatter of water instead of the warmth radiating from behind me. Minjae leaned against the counter, too close, watching me with that lazy, dangerous look in his eyes. You cook well, he said, his voice casual but his gaze anything but. Someone has to feed you, I muttered. You eat like a stray cat. He chuckled. A very handsome stray, though. I rolled my eyes, scrubbing harder at a plate, pretending I didn't hear the way his words slid under my skin. Then, without warning, his arms slid around my waist from behind. I froze, plate slipping back into the soapy water. His chest pressed firmly against my back, and his chin rested lightly on my shoulder. Minjae, you keep running from me, he murmured, his lips brushing the shell of my ear. Even though your body doesn't want to. My breath caught. His hands were warm, steady against my stomach, and I hated how natural it felt, how easily I leaned back into him. I'm not. You are. He cut me off smoothly, his tone both gentle and commanding. But it's okay. I'll catch you every time. I turned to face him, ready to push him away, but the moment our eyes met, the words died. His gaze pinned me in place, intense, unflinching, like he could see straight through me. You're so stubborn, he whispered, lifting a hand to brush a damp strand of hair from my forehead. Always pretending. I'm not pretending, I shot back, though my voice shook. His lips curved into a knowing smirk. Then why are you blushing? Before I could respond, his mouth was on mine. The kiss was harder this time, deeper, stealing the air from my lungs. My hands braced against his chest, but instead of pushing him away, they clutched at his shirt, pulling him closer. The sink gurgled, water still running, but it faded into nothing as Minjae pressed me back against the counter. His kiss was relentless, teasing, and when his tongue slid against mine, I let out a soft sound I couldn't hold back. There it is, he murmured, pulling back just enough to speak, his forehead resting against mine. The sound I wanted to hear. Minj, I whispered, breathless. He tilted my chin up, forcing me to look at him. You want me to stop? I should have said yes. Every rational part of me screamed to. But the words tangled on my tongue, refusing to come out. Instead, I stood there, trembling, lips swollen, my silence answering for me. His eyes darkened and he smiled faintly. Good. Then don't think. Just feel. The next moments blurred into sensation. His hands roamed my sides, slow and deliberate, mapping every inch of me as if he had all the time in the world. Each touch sent sparks racing through me, until I was sure I'd burn from the inside out. He lifted me onto the counter with effortless strength, stepping between my knees. My breath hitched as he leaned closer, his nose brushing mine before he claimed my mouth again. The kiss was different this time, not just hungry, but possessive. Like he wanted to leave no doubt that I belonged to him. And the worst part? I let him. I gasped again when his lips trailed lower, along my jaw, down to the sensitive spot on my neck. Heat coiled in my stomach, and I gripped his shoulders desperately. You taste too good, he whispered against my skin, nipping lightly before soothing the spot with his tongue. I shivered. We shouldn't. Then tell me to stop. His voice was firm, a challenge. But I couldn't. I didn't want to. Instead, my fingers curled tighter into his shirt, silently begging for more. He pulled back slightly, searching my face. His expression softened, though his eyes still burned. You have no idea what you do to me, Seojin. My heart skipped. I couldn't meet his gaze, but he lifted my chin again, forcing me to. I'll be patient, he murmured, his thumb stroking my cheek. But don't expect me to hold back forever. Then he kissed me again, slower this time, lingering, pouring every unspoken word into the press of his lips. And as I melted into him, my body betraying every denial I'd ever given, I realized something terrifying. I didn't want him to hold back. Later that night, after we'd collapsed onto the couch in a tangle of limbs and breathless laughter, I lay with my head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. Your trouble, I muttered. He chuckled, pressing a kiss to the top of my head. And you love it. I closed my eyes, not trusting myself to deny it. Because maybe, just maybe, he was right. The first thing I noticed was the silence. The storm had stopped sometime after midnight, leaving the world outside unnervingly still. No rain on the glass, no wind rattling the window, just the sound of Minjae's breathing, deep and steady, right beside me. He hadn't left. He hadn't even tried to. Instead, he was stretched out on my couch, one arm draped over my waist like it was the most natural thing in the world. His face was close, too close. So close that if I leaned forward just a little, our lips would touch. And that was the problem. Because I wanted to. I'd spent the whole day trying to convince myself last night was an accident, a heat-of-the-moment mistake. But his warmth was still here, his scent still clinging to my shirt, his voice still replaying in my head, relax. Trust me. I shifted slightly, trying to sit up, but his arm tightened immediately, holding me down. Going somewhere? His voice was low, husky from sleep, but it sent a shiver racing through me all the same. Bathroom, I muttered. He hummed, eyes still half closed, but his lips curved into that familiar smirk. You're lying. You were trying to sneak away. I wasn't. Yes, you were. His eyes opened fully now, sharp even in the dim light. You always run when you start to feel too much. My breath caught. That's not true. It is, he said simply, pushing himself up until he was leaning over me. His hand slid to cup my cheek, warm and steady, tilting my face toward his. But I'm not letting you run this time. I should have resisted. I should have shoved him away. But the moment his lips brushed mine, all my excuses crumbled. The kiss was slow at first, careful, almost reverent, as if he wanted me to understand that this wasn't a game. That every touch, every whisper, was deliberate. Then it deepened. His hand tangled in my hair, pulling me closer, and I gasped against him. That was all the invitation he needed. His tongue slid against mine, coaxing, demanding, until I was melting under him. I breathed, gripping his shirt like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. He pulled back just enough to murmur, Say it again. I blinked, dazed. What? My name, he whispered, his forehead resting against mine. Say it like you need me. Heat surged through me, and before I could stop myself, the words slipped out again, softer this time, almost a plea. Minjae. His groan vibrated against my lips, low and desperate, and then his mouth was on mine again, hungrier than before. Things blurred quickly after that. One moment, we were tangled on the couch, the next he was lifting me effortlessly, carrying me toward the bedroom like I weighed nothing. Minjae. Shoo. He hushed, lips brushing my ear. Don't think. Just feel. He laid me down gently, but the look in his eyes was anything but gentle. Dark, intense, claiming. My pulse stuttered under the weight of it. You don't know how long I've wanted this, he admitted, crawling over me, his body caging mine without ever feeling suffocating. How many times I imagined you looking at me like this. You're insane, I whispered, though my trembling voice betrayed me. Maybe, he said with a crooked smile. But I'm insane for you. His hands were everywhere, exploring, teasing, mapping me out like he wanted to memorize every reaction. Every brush of his fingers sent sparks racing across my skin, until I was arching against him without realizing it. See, he whispered against my throat, lips trailing fire down my neck. Your body doesn't lie. I tried to argue, but the words tangled in my throat when he nipped at my skin, leaving a mark that made me gasp. Minjae. There it is again, he murmured, kissing the spots softly afterward. You sound too good when you say my name like that. I buried my face in his shoulder, half in embarrassment, half in desperation, but he only laughed softly, pulling me closer. Don't hide from me, Seojin. Not tonight. His pace was torturous, slow, deliberate, making sure I felt every second of it. My body trembled under his, heat pooling low and dangerous, but he never gave me more than I could handle. He controlled everything, the rhythm of his kisses, the weight of his touch, the way he whispered against my skin just when I thought I'd come undone. Relax, he whispered again, the word like a mantra. His hand threaded through mine, grounding me even as he unraveled me. I've got you. And for once, I let go. I let the walls crumble. I let the fear dissolve. I let him take control completely. When it was over, I lay there breathless, my body humming with aftershocks, my heart still racing. Minjae didn't move away. He stayed, his arm draped over me, his lips brushing my temple in soft, almost reverent kisses. You're mine now, he whispered, not a question, not a tease, but a promise. I should have argued. I should have told him he was wrong. But instead, I whispered back the only word that felt true in that moment. Yours. And for the first time, I didn't regret saying it.